I work at a facility where the lights never turn off, and they told me never to blink when the air goes still. I started my job at Pillar 9 Research Bunker 3 weeks ago. It's built 5 stories underground beneath a defunct weather station in a frozen part of the country I was told not to name, one of those places you have to reach by snowcat, where the wind never stops howling and the sun sets before lunch. When I was hired, I was told the job was simple: monitor the containment corridor, watch the motion sensors, and never leave your post between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m. The pay was suspiciously good. The onboarding was vague. And the security clearance paperwork was thick enough to choke a horse. The bunker has no windows. The lights are always on. Every hallway, every room, even the bathrooms, there are no shadows in Pillar 9. The walls hum faintly, like electricity constantly feeding something deeper than the concrete. The other employees don't talk much, and when they do, it's only about procedure. Never about the thing in the lower observation corridor. Rules for monitoring the corridor: read daily. 1. All lights must remain on at all times. If a bulb flickers, report immediately but do not stop watching. 2. If the air becomes completely still, do not blink. Hold your breath if possible. 3. Between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m., remain seated. Do not approach the glass. Do not speak. 4. If something taps on the reinforced viewing panel, do not react. It is not requesting attention. 5. Should you hear your own voice coming from the corridor, activate lockdown and place your hands over your ears. Do not listen. 6. At shift's end, look at your reflection in the decontamination mirror. If it blinks out of sync, report immediately. Do not leave the facility. On my 4th night, I heard the tap for the first time. Not a knock. Not something seeking permission. It was like something testing the boundary between observation and invitation. The glass was nearly a foot thick, and yet I could feel a cold pressure against my temples, like something behind it was pushing its awareness through, probing. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The light overhead flickered once, and I bit down on my tongue hard enough to draw blood just to stay still. When it passed, I checked the logs. I wasn't the first to feel that presence. One of the pages, a torn, yellowed report buried in a drawer, described the same sensation. It ended with, "It knows how long we blink. It measures stillness like a key." By the end of the week, I stopped sleeping entirely. I'd wake up from non-dreams, feeling like I was being watched, not from the hallway, but from within myself. Like my thoughts were no longer fully private. Sometimes I'd hear faint breathing in my earpiece. The others claimed it was interference. But it matched my own rhythm. Until it didn't. One night, the air went silent. No hum. No wind outside. Nothing. And I blinked. Just once. The corridor was empty before. And after I blinked, there was something standing at the edge of the camera feed. It wasn't human. It had the rough outline of one, tall, thin, bald, its skin faintly glowing under the bunker lights like a jellyfish stretched over a frame of broken bone. No eyes. Just pits. And something like a grin formed where its mouth should have been, but too wide, pulling back toward its ears. The lights didn't flicker. They pulsed. Like they were sinking to its presence. I watched, frozen, as the creature pressed both hands to the glass. And on the panel in front of me, in reversed red text, the words appeared. "You're still here." I hit the lockdown switch. Alarms screamed. But nothing moved on the monitors. The creature stayed at the glass. And then, so did I. My reflection. Mimicking it. Hands pressed to the glass, smiling. I wasn't touching the panel. I was sitting. But my reflection had gotten up. After that night, things changed. Every shift, the glass felt thinner. The motion sensors started picking up my movements before I made them. And the other employees started avoiding my gaze. One of them, a woman named Gray, whispered to me before she vanished. "The lights aren't to see. They're to forget. When they go out, it remembers." They found her uniform in the corridor. Neatly folded. No sign of her otherwise. Now, each night, I repeat the rules aloud. I memorize the breaths between words. I don't blink when the air goes still. I don't answer the voice when it says my name in my exact tone, from behind the glass. But last night, I looked into the decontamination mirror. And I blinked. And my reflection didn't. I think I've already been replaced. I think something's wearing me like a name tag. So if you're offered a job at a place called Pillar 9, decline. Because it doesn't hire you to work. It hires you to watch yourself stop being you, one blink at a time. And when the air goes still, Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't blink. Because if you do, you'll never look right in a mirror again. After the mirror incident, I started keeping my eyes closed as long as possible when passing reflective surfaces. I unplugged the monitors that weren't essential. I covered every shiny panel in my observation room with gaffer tape. But even that wasn't enough. Because sometimes, I could still feel it, that version of me on the other side, watching through the black. Not mimicking. Not waiting. Learning. At first, it was just the mirrors. But then it started happening in screens, off ones. When the monitors were powered down, I could still see a faint glow in the black glass, like a silhouette standing behind my shoulder. I checked dozens of times. No one was ever there. But when I looked away, I'd catch movement in the screen, my reflection turning its head while mine stayed still. Then came the recordings. One night, the corridor's surveillance feed glitched and began playing on loop. I leaned in to fix it, only to realize what it was showing wasn't the corridor at all. It was me. Sitting in the observation chair. Not live. Not playback. Something in between. In the feed, I was slouched, eyes open, unmoving. But what made me real was that my mouth in the recording was muttering something. I turned up the volume. Just static at first. Then my own voice whispering. It's not pretending. You are. Since that night, the motion sensors have started registering impossible paths. Movements that curve through the wall. Signals that pass through my body, then echo out the other side. One time, the system logged my presence in two places at once, the observation room and the corridor itself. I checked the corridor feed. There was a second me. Just standing there. Staring straight into the camera. No movement. No blinking. And I swear to God, it didn't cast a shadow. I tried to override the system, purge the feed, reformat the software. But it was like trying to erase my own thoughts. The image wouldn't delete. It would just move, into a different drive, a backup folder, a physical printout in the breakroom printer I never used. One photo had a sticky note on it, written in my own handwriting. You're doing well. Keep watching. The others began disappearing shortly after. Not violently. Not messily. They'd simply leave for break and not return. First Gray. Then Cho. Then Burns, my supervisor, the only one who ever made eye contact. I found his clearance card embedded in the observation glass, half melted, like it had been pressed into molten steel and cooled inside the wall. Now I do full shifts alone. If the other departments are still active, I can't tell. The intercom only returns static. The elevators ignore my badge. The cafeteria is stocked with food that doesn't rot, but smells faintly like formaldehyde. I've stopped trying to leave. Because every time I approach the exit tunnel, I find myself back at the chair. No memory of turning around. Only the growing certainty that I never moved at all. And the reflection? It speaks now. Not aloud. But in mimicry. Last night, I slipped, exhaustion finally overtook me, and I dozed off in the observation chair. When I woke up, I was still in the same position. Same lighting. But the monitors were all showing different angles of me, grainy CCTV views of my back, my hands twitching, my lips moving again. But I wasn't saying anything. My reflection was. It was sitting inside the corridor. Eyes wide open. And it was writing in steam across the panel. You need to rest. I'll take the next shift. I haven't slept since. I'm not sure I'm awake now. The lights flicker longer. Shadows take too long to vanish. And the air doesn't move anymore. It hangs. Thick. Like something large is holding its breath, waiting for me to let mine go. I try to blink less. But I feel the strain. I feel the edges of reality fraying, like the room is trying to forget I'm real. Earlier today, I caught my hand reaching for the glass without my permission. Just fingers brushing the panel. A soft hum echoing through the bones. When I pulled back, the fingerprint smudges remained. But on the inside. And just now. The corridor feed is back. The creature, the thing that once just stood there, hands on the glass, is gone. In its place is me. Wearing my uniform. Looking tired. Pale. Hollow-eyed. But smiling. Not at the camera. At me. And above the feed, in crimson system text, one word is blinking. Switching. I no longer trust that I'm the original. Maybe I blinked too many times. Maybe I've already been replaced. Maybe I'm the one trapped behind the glass now, watching my body operate on autopilot. The lights are still on. The corridor is still quiet. But something is missing, a feeling I used to have. The sense that I was alone. Now it's too quiet. Too smooth. Too practiced. So here's the final thought I'll leave behind. If you ever look into a mirror and blink, and your reflection doesn't, it's already your shift. And somewhere beneath your skin, you're watching yourself. Walk away. I think I've finally crossed the line, not the red tape of security clearance, but something more fragile, the membrane between watcher and watched. It began with small things. My limbs feeling alien, like I had to concentrate to move them. My voice arriving a second late, echoing behind my tongue. But now I don't know if I'm the one blinking, or the one waiting for the blink to end. This morning, I found a note taped to the inside of my eyelid. I'm not kidding. I rubbed my eyes awake from a half-sleep, that buzzing sort of awareness where time feels like it's stripping backward, and I felt something foreign on the soft skin beneath the lid. I staggered to the mirror, pulled it down with shaking fingers, and there it was. A tiny slip of paper, so impossibly thin I couldn't imagine how it got there without tearing me open. Scrawled in ink that pulsed faintly with light, it read, "He's using your downtime. You rest, he walks." Later that day, I stood in the observation hallway, looking into the corridor through the triple reinforced glass. For the first time, it didn't feel like a barrier. It felt like a suggestion. And beyond it, the reflection, the other me, wasn't mimicking anymore. He was leaning just out of sync, moving before I did, tilting his head in directions I hadn't thought of, smiling wider than any version of me had ever smiled. And then, suddenly, I was on the other side. I don't remember stepping through. I don't remember moving. But I was now inside the corridor, standing behind the glass, looking out at myself. I waved. The other me waved back. Same tempo. Same hand. But when I stopped, he didn't. The lights began to hum again. Not the comforting mechanical buzz they used to offer, but a choral tone, layered, dissonant, like 1,000 whispering voices trying to hold the same note through rotting mouths. I slapped the glass. It didn't vibrate. It didn't feel like glass anymore. It felt like skin. Something was breathing between us. I turned around, and behind me, the corridor had shifted. Not in shape, in perspective. It was deeper than it had ever been. I could see rows of chairs trailing back into the dark, all filled with motionless figures. Some looked like me. Some didn't. Some were just the idea of a person, a smudged outline, a poorly drawn placeholder for something that had been erased. And they were all staring at me. One of them stood up. Its body cracked audibly as it rose, like ice splitting in spring. Its movements were stiff but purposeful. And when it turned, I saw that its face had no features, just skin stretched taut across bone, like the clay hadn't finished forming. But it held something in its hands. My badge. The real one. The one I'd been issued on day one. Except, the date was wrong. It was dated 2037. 12 years from now. I backed away slowly, until my shoulders pressed against the glass wall, but this time, the glass was warm. Wet. It pulsed once. And I felt a finger touch my back, from the outside. I spun around. There I was, my original self, pressing his palm to the corridor wall, face calm, composed, eyes hollow. He mouthed something. I think it was time's up. Then everything went black. When I woke, I was in the observation chair again. Only it was newer. The screens were high-res now. The desk was cleaner. The chair didn't creak. And the badge on my chest? The feed played automatically. I saw a figure in the corridor. Familiar. Twitching slightly. Sometimes it looked like me. Other times it flickered. Old faces. Forgotten faces. Faces I think I wore in dreams I'd never remember. I reached for the logbook, but it had only one entry. He blinked. He crossed. We switched. I screamed. And my voice echoed from the corridor, not the room. That was hours ago. Or maybe days. I no longer track time in minutes. I track it in rotations of the smile. Because now the figure in the corridor grins wider every time I blink. Each time I close my eyes, he inches closer to the glass. Each time I look away, he adjusts his shape. He is becoming better at being me. And now, I don't think I ever left the corridor. I think I'm still behind the glass. Or maybe I am the glass, the thing separating versions, the membrane between one breath and the next. So here's my final entry. If you are reading this, if the chair feels colder than usual, if the lights seem too bright, if the corridor hums like it's thinking, you've already been seen. The reflection isn't waiting anymore. It's walking. And it looks exactly like you.